Thank you so much for joining us today. We are committed to making sure that we reach you with this program, you know, as much as possible. We'll also be uploading some videos to you guys that is not a live broadcast. But the reason why we have to keep doing this live broadcast because we hope that after a while we can even begin to take questions, during our live broadcast. Today, as the topic, as you must have seen, on the topic, on the title, we're going to be talking about the um, the labor market impact assessment, popularly known as the LMIA, labor market impact assessment. And this is very very important for those of you who you want someone to send you. You want someone to employ you from here. A lot of people have approached me and they said, in fact, a friend of ours approached me a couple of days ago and he said, Chidi, please, I'm ready. I'm set to start my application. My only problem is that I need a job offer. I need an employment from here. So I was like, yeah, you can go online and get an employment from a company. Just look for a job online. But they insisted that, Chidi, why don't you, since you own a company here, some of you know, my main profession here is architecture. I'm an architect, and my wife is an architect. Because sometimes when you hear doctor, you think we're medical doctors. No, it's just doctor of philosophy. But we're really architects, and we own a construction company here called Fixed Team Building Contractors Limited. So the person said, hey, why don't you send me an employment letter? Well, it's not a problem for me. I can send you an employment letter. I can employ you. But the problem is people fail to realize that for the government of Canada to be able to allow me to employ somebody from outside Canada, I have to have a way of proving to them that the job for which I'm trying to employ this person, there's nobody here in Canada that can do that job. That is what will make you um, get the government to approve that employment that I'm going to give you, that letter of employment that I'm going to give you. So today I'm just going to run through what makes it possible for a job letter from Canada to go through. So today we're going to be discussing about the labor market impact assessment and the temporary work permits, because that is what you need. If that is what needs to be done, you know when they are considering that employment that was given to you, and when it scales through, then they will give you a visa, a work visa, and which is a temporary work permit will come with your visa. Now, a labor market impact assessment (LMIA) and a temporary work permit must be obtained before a foreign national can begin working for a Canadian employer under the temporary foreign worker program. So there's the TFWP, which is the temporary foreign worker program. A lot of people have asked me, Chidi, is there a program like that? Yes, there is a program under which the government makes it possible for you to come and work temporarily in Canada, so that you can understand this is a program that is meant for you to fill in the vacancies in their workforce. They just want to fill in those vacancies that the workforce within Canada cannot fill, because maybe there's shortage of skills or labor in that area, or they cannot find somebody who has the specialty to deal in that area. Now, the TFWP allows Canadian employers to address genuine labor shortages that have been corroborated by federal government. So the federal government, it has to be something that is trending, something that maybe in the policy of the federal government they have indicated that, look, there is a shortage in this area. Now, LMIA is confirmed that this assessment confirmed that an employer has taken the required steps to recruit a Canadian worker for the position they are seeking to fill, and that there will be a positive or neutral impact on the Canada labor market. Listen, they need to determine that that the employer like me has taken the required steps to recruit a Canadian worker, somebody in Canada, for the position they are seeking to fill. I have tried to recruit a Canadian to do that job, and then I have now I need to determine that there will be no positive or neutral impact on the Canadian labor market. I need to establish or prove to them that when this person comes to work, it will not affect the Canadian labor market. In simple terms, there is nobody here that is seeking for that job that I want to give to a foreigner. I need to prove this through that assessment, and that there will be neutral impact on the Canadian labor market. If the employer hires the foreign, once an employer gets the LMIA, the worker can apply for a work permit. To apply for a work permit, a worker needs a job offer letter. You see, before we even get to giving you that job offer letter, a contract, a copy of the LMIA, and the LMIA number. Now, the number of assessments have been on the rise since 2015, when 89,000 temporary foreign workers were approved. You see, since 2015, 89,000 temporary foreign workers were approved for an LMIA. By 2018, the number had risen to 108,000 according to the Canadian government data, preliminary data. Now, this is a function of Canada's labor market being at near full employment due to large part to its rapidly aging population and low birth rate. So I don't know whether this is good news or bad news, but the truth is that there is still space for work in Canada. That's why the government keeps giving people temporary work permit, because Canada is a growing economy. There was a boom, Canada experienced a boom, and then people had good jobs, the economy was flourishing. But it has now gotten to the time when those people who they call them the baby boomers, that time they have now become old. They have now reached retirement age. Those people who were born in that time, they got jobs, economy was flourishing, but with all kinds of policies, with all kinds of lifestyle, with changes in cultures, there's low birth rate in Canada. People are not having children, and when you don't have children, there'll be nobody to grow to do the jobs. Okay, and a lot of the people who grow up here, unfortunately, they don't want to acquire certain skills. So there's shortage in several areas, where especially where you need to use your physical strength to do work. There's shortage in those areas, and because people who were working before have reached a retirement age, they are dropping, and these places need to be filled up. Let me run through this quickly, and then you can go back later and review what I have said. So rapid aging population and low birth rate. Canada's unemployment rate has been historically low in recent years and currently stands at 5.8%. If you are a Canadian employer considering applying for LMIA, here are 5 steps to increase the likelihood that your application will be approved by the federal government. Okay, these tips are there for you. I'm going to run through it. So the reason why you need to hear this is you are not the employer, but when you are seeking for someone to give you employment, it is better that you hear this thing so you know what they are dealing with, and you can assess whether your position, your request from them will be successful or not. The first step of these tips for a successful labor market impact assessment Hold on 1 second, please. Okay, so the the first step is to choose the correct NOC code. Now, what is NOC? NOC is the National Occupational Classification, NOC. Now, this code is the code that accurately reflects the role to be filled by the foreign national. The NOC is Canada's national system to describe jobs based on their main duties and requirements, such as the level of education typically needed for each job. So go and look up National Occupation Classification, NOC. Now, in order for the federal government to properly assess the impact of hiring a foreign worker in a given occupation, that occupation must be clearly and correctly defined to ensure that there is a neutral or positive impact on the Canadian labor market. If they find a discrepancy between the chosen NOC code and the duties and responsibilities to be performed by the foreign worker, the application may be refused, as misidentification of the NOC code has implications at all stages of the application. You think you want to do babysitting, you need to see what the National Occupational Classification says about babysitting in Canada. What are the duties of a babysitter here in Canada, so that make sure that when you quote that particular number, it is the one that defines what you're doing. You cannot be looking for to be a caregiver, even if it is to infants, and you are applying under babysitter. You need to be very clear about that. Now, number 2 is allocate the correct salary according to the NOC code. Now, when hiring a foreign worker, it is important that the salary offered by the Canadian employer matches the remuneration received by Canadian workers in the same occupation. To hear that, you have to make sure that I'm talking as an employer, and the employer has to make sure that the salary they are going to offer matches the salary that is offered in Canada for the same job or more. The government is particular about that. They will not allow you to go and sign a contract. So your employer cannot go and sign a contract with you for something. They say, okay, because you're coming from maybe from Nigeria or so, what they pay in Nigeria is less than $1 an hour, and that is true. And then you come and say, no, you're going to pay the person like maybe $1 or $2 or even $3. They should be happy. No, if 11.5 is what they pay an hour here, that is what you have to offer the person, and it has to be seen there. Okay. Now, the federal government is strict about this salary requirement, so if it is not met, the application will not be approved. Identify the number 3. Identify the correct stream through which to apply. While the objective of all LMIAs is to determine the impact of hiring a foreign worker on the Canadian labor market, not all LMIAs are the same. Not all of them are the same. The kind of impact they need to do, impact assessment they need to do for an engineer is different from the one they need to do for a doctor. It's different from the one they need to do for a chef or any person for that matter. Now, there are different types of LMIAs that can be pursued, and the best one in any given situation depends on factors such as the occupation to be filled by the foreign worker. So you see what I'm saying? Like if you're going to be dealing with children, they have to do a different kind of impact assessment for you. If you're coming to work under the security industry here, you also understand that the kind of assessment they do will be different. Again, is the ownership structure of the Canadian company vis-a-vis the foreign worker, whether you're a limited liability company, um, a, um, sole proprietorship and stuff like that, or a partnership. All of those things come into play. The purpose of which the LMIA is being submitted. Now they want to know whether you're coming here to work for a certain time, you're coming here to work as a consultant, you're coming here to give advice, you're coming here because, just to say that one is different from the other. Now, incorrect identification of the stream could result in longer processing time and an increased likelihood that the LMIA will be refused if you go and submit your own under the wrong application. Sorry for you. 4, you need to ensure as the employer that correct advertisement and ongoing recruitment efforts. Since the objective of the LMIA application is to demonstrate that there were no Canadians available to do the job, attempts to recruit Canadians must be well documented and authentic. You must show that you have advertised for this job everywhere. It's not something you just hide. Go and publish it in one of your local blogs, Just get a blogger who doesn't have up to 20 people, or even open the blog yourself and advertise it and pretend that it was not. No. They don't do that. You have to clearly advertise this thing, publicize it everywhere, and even while that application is going on, there's a clause here. It says, while most ads must be posted for only 28 consecutive days, at least one of the ads must remain active until the LMIA is approved. So you put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it on Kijiji, put it on jobmonster.com, put it in all of those places, but you must make sure the requirement is that it stays there for 28 days and nobody applies, or the people that apply don't meet your specification or your requirement for that job. You must show that. But secondly, you must make sure that you keep at least one of those adverts active while the application is going on, so that anytime the immigration official, the people doing the assessment, anytime the people reviewing your case need to make reference, they can click on that advert and they can see that it is still active. Finally, verify that all forms and documents are complete before submitting. Now, the fifth and final tip is to double check your application before submitting it to the federal government. And LMIA is a complex and demanding application that involves the submission of many documents and the completion of many government forms. Seemingly insignificant errors can jeopardize or at least prolong the processing of the application. I want you to notice something. Listen very carefully. It says the LMIA, the Labor Market Impact Assessment, is a complex and demanding application that involves the submission of many documents. So when you're telling somebody who has a company here, when you're telling an employer here to just give you a job letter, they want you to know that what you're asking them to do is something that is humongous. That is why it is better for you to seek the services of a professional, an immigration expert, so that the employer will walk through this immigration expert, and this immigration expert will be the one doing the paperwork. They will just supply what is needed from them as an employer. But if you want the employer to directly do all these things for you, sometimes it might become a problem. Now, since the objective of LMIA is to protect Canadian workers from foreign nationals encroaching on their jobs, these applications are scrutinized very closely and may be refused if they do not comply with the requirements set out by the federal government. Given how exhaustive the LMIA process can be, it is therefore highly recommended that Canadian employers seek professional guidance to help them successfully and efficiently navigate the process. I hope that I've been able to impact something in terms of knowledge to you, to help you understand what it takes to get a job letter from here, so you don't just think that maybe you ask someone to send you a job letter and they didn't send it and you're not feeling happy. No, 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 no. You have to understand that it takes more than just sending you a job letter. All right. Now, from all of us at Worship Media Studios and here in Toronto, Canada, I'm gonna have to thank you all, and let me make just one request here. And my request is that you guys help us to share our videos, because a lot of people are asking these questions, and when you share this video with them, especially people who want to come here and work, people who need work permit, when you share these videos with them, it helps them to understand what they are requesting from someone, so they don't get upset if they don't get these things from them. All right, I will have to take my leave here, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye bye for now.